It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Well, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to jump on that gigantic, sharp, interactive board. I want to go through Canon's second quarter numbers. I want to share some thoughts regarding Canon. Canon, like all the actors in our industry, have to make adjustments. Have to. Our industry's changes so drastically. We know that Canon is a huge conglomerate. Print's just one of the things they do. It's the most important thing they do, and it drives most of Canon's revenue. But Canon, like all the actors in our industry, have to say to themselves, how do we cut cost? How do we make sure that we're not spending too much money to deliver things into the marketplace based on outdated value adds? And I talked about this before. So we know that Canon and all the actors in the industry are making adjustments. Those adjustments have to do with cutting costs. Canon, like all the actors in the industry, the print industry, understand that the marketplace has determined what they're going to pay for print equipment. And they're not going to pay a whole lot more than what they determined to pay. We can believe that we have more value, one OEM over the other, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what the industry believes. It matters what the end users that use the product believe, because they're the ones that write the check. So let's jump on the board. I want to share some thoughts with you. Canon's going through their structural review. I just want to read this one paragraph because I think it's a powerful paragraph. And it kind of validates what I'm thinking regarding Canon's direct operation. Here we go. In sales companies, to further raise the competitiveness of our printing and camera businesses, we are promoting workforce optimization through organizational restructuring, a review of sales channels, and an improvement in business processes by way of DX and other measures. At the same time, and with the same purpose, we are promoting asset efficient through office consolidation and other actions. So they got to clean up some of their assets, some of these offices. Have you ever driven by a Canon office or another OEM's office? You see a whole lot of cars out there in the parking lot? Ladies and gentlemen, it's not 1980 or 90. These OEMs don't need the forces that they needed back in the 80s and 90s. Dealers don't need to be bothered by a whole bunch of OEM salespeople coming into their office trying to get them to buy stuff built in their warehouses. Okay, times have changed drastically. The OEMs have to figure out how to align their cost with today's reality. I do believe that Canon will exit their direct operations. I really, really believe they will. And if they don't exit all of them, they're definitely going to make some major changes to those direct operations. And I don't expect that you're going to see the head of the direct operations showing up being interviewed in the next week or two saying, that's off the table, we are not getting rid of direct operations. Direct operations are so important to us. I don't think you're going to see that interview like you saw it about a year and a half ago when I first brought this up. But I will say this to Canon. Canon, you seem to not be so forthright around your human capital eliminations. It seems that you hear rumors. Canon, unemployed 400 people. I hate to use the word laid off because they're not going back, okay? It's not the old days of we're going to lay you off for a couple months and bring you back. Once you're gone, you're gone. And I heard the number was 400. And it seems that Canon doesn't really come out in the marketplace as forthright as some of the other actors. That's my observation, and I think they should. Look, the whole industry's going through some tough times. We don't need to hide it. We need to be upfront with it. We need to have an industry prepared for more of it to come because there will be major human capital adjustments throughout our industry. We're just getting started. Let's look at some numbers for the first half. Canon's revenue is $14 billion for the whole conglomerate. Their operating profit is $1.3 billion, 9.2%. There's nothing wrong with that. Strong operating profit. $14 billion in sales for the whole conglomerate, $1.3 billion operating profit, or 9.2%. But I want to share something with you all. This is a slide I put together when I was talking about the operating profit of all the actors based on from the year 2019 through the year 2024. And the year 2024, I used the number that they forecast they would achieve in operating profit. And I wanted to rank them by operating profit. If you go back from 2019 through 2024, what's the average operating profit? What's it come out to? Canon wasn't number 1. Canon wasn't number 2. Canon wasn't number 3. Canon wasn't number 4. Canon was below Xerox. And I think a lot of people were shocked by that. They always saw Canon as this shining star on the hill. They're killing it with operating profit. They do good. There's nothing wrong with what they do. But they're not number 1. They're not the most important player in our industry. They're just one of the players in our industry, an industry that's being challenged through competitiveness like never before. And that competitiveness is only going to ramp up. We're seeing OEMs consolidate manufacturing. How will Canon play in that space? But at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, there was a big perception for a long time in the marketplace that Canon was like number one in total operating profit as a conglomerate. And they're not. We'll see how they end up with their numbers for 2024. They raised them a little bit. Xerox actually lowered their operating profit a little bit. They might jump ahead of Xerox. But at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, not by much. Let's talk about their print business. Their print business did $8.028 billion for the 6 months, first half of FY 2024. Had an operating profit of $941 million or 11.7%. Nothing wrong with that. That's fantastic. But here's the issue with Canon's print business, and I've said this before. Back when Xerox and HP were going to come together, remember that? The CEO, chairman of Canon, was so outraged by it, he shot off a letter to HP and said, if you do that deal with Xerox, it'll be the end of our relationship. That was probably the stupidest decision that I've ever seen anybody in our industry make. I thought that was stupid then, and I think it's stupid today. And if they looked back at what they were talking about and thought through that, they would have loved for Xerox and HP to get together. We all know that Xerox was having some fights with Fuji, their main manufacturer, right? What did Canon not see? I just can't even believe Canon got upset about it. Canon would have had the largest dealer in the world making their machines for them, right? I mean, they would have been making all the Xerox machines, had Xerox and HP came together. Plus, they'd be making all the HP machines. Plus, they'd have the world's largest dealer deliver them directly to the end user. They could have eliminated the cost of all their direct operations, just gave all that to Xerox. But they couldn't see. They couldn't see past their emotions that Xerox was some enemy. Ladies and gentlemen, during that time, when the chairman of Canon was making that argument, there was some articles written. And in those articles, it talked about how Canon was getting 13% of their revenue from HP. I did a little math. 13% of Canon's total revenue for the first half. You got $14 billion in total revenue for Canon for their first half. 13% of that is $1.8 billion. That $1.8 billion represents 23% of the print revenue. Because in the article that was written back then, it didn't say 13% of the print revenue. It said 13% of Canon's total revenue. Is HP contributing 23 to 25% of Canon's print revenue? What's the profitability in that print revenue? Ladies and gentlemen, that's a big customer to have in a declining marketplace that's constantly changing. And you never know who partners with who as we go through all these changes and innovation the industry's going through. It's a big threat. Here's the article. 13%, ladies and gentlemen, I'm making it up. I still can't believe that this was even a discussion that Canon's leaders were having. They should have welcomed that deal. Hell, they should have been part of it. They should have joined in with Xerox to buy HP. It's just crazy. It's crazy how our industry just can't think of things that are so outrageously different that they just can't imagine what could be based on what it should be. It's just amazing to me. And that was a big, big mistake on Canon's part. Had Canon came in and supported that deal, it probably would have happened. Just my opinion, but I don't think I'm the only one. Canon's out there. They're trying to get a higher target of operating profit. I just got to ask the question again. Is Canon preparing to eliminate direct operations? Because that's a great way to increase your operating profit. Is Canon preparing for the steep declines in HP purchases? I got to tell you, that's a big, scary thing. Canon talks about their inkjet, the tank printer. Sell a whole lot of them, Canon. With that big tank of ink, it'd probably be the last supply you ever sell those printers. We got HP over there ending their subscription print business. Now we got HP talking about doing a finance program. That whole subscription thing was so stupid. So stupid. I talked about it the day it was started. It was so stupid. HP running around bragging about how many subscriptions they're selling. At the end of the day, it was all nonsense. Where's Canon going to fit in this world? We got Fujifilm and Konica coming together around manufacturing. We got Ricoh and Toshiba Tech coming in around manufacturing. Does Canon join one of these folks? Does Canon join with Fujifilm and Konica? By the way, we all know that Toshiba and Ricoh got that thing all done. They gave it a name, Etra. There still isn't really a name for the Fujifilm and Konica joint venture. You know what I think it's going to be? I think it's going to be Fujifilm, because I think Fujifilm is going to take out all of Konica, and I shared my thoughts on that. But folks, we got a lot of things going on in our industry. A lot of changes are happening, and a lot more will happen. And we need to be upfront. We need to be honest with the employees and the human capital that works at these organizations. And more importantly, we all need to be prepared. We all need to be prepared. Because everybody watching me knows this. Status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.